Wasteman. Someone who's a waste of space and a waste of time. Boy, you are a wasteman.
Shaitan has made you a waste man.
Everybody knows you're a waste man.
Waste man.
And now it's time for Wasteman of the Week.
Wasteman, I always knew your burden was a wasteman.
I don't think we should waste any time. Please don't waste it. That was timing. But yeah, I think this truly is going to be just the R. Kelly show, and there's no way that R. Kelly is not going to be the Wasteman of the Week today. He has to be the Wasteman of the Week. Although he's a Wasteman of way longer, and this is not a thing that happened this week, but it's the current thing people are talking about, so it's definitely the Wasteman of the Week. But before we get into it, I guess I did want to just go and see if we have any honourable mentions. Luke Maverick straight away said R. Kelly anyway, so that was the first nomination. Nephilim said Katie Hopkins this week, and there was an issue with Katie Hopkins. I haven't looked into it too tough, but she done some dumb stuff about, who knows,
she's always
some stuff about immigrants and all of that online. Defo R. Kelly said Deezy. Buster Manson said Piers Morgan. There was some pagan behaviour from Piers Morgan this week. Sarah Jazz says R. Kelly's assistant, the stupid one, him, he can go. I won't finish that sentence. Tom Lowry said R. Kelly's been a waste man for years. Nikki Blunson has to be R. Kelly. Emerge MC said the 152 bus route. Boy. Bishop Dadon said bit sexist, talking about the segment, I guess. There's one there that I can't pronounce. There's one there from a female who I know in real life who's saying her ex with the ex's name, who I also know in real life. I'm not going to read that out.
Don't read that out.
Ryan Prince said R. Kelly. Nick Russell said the guy that filmed himself throwing a vegan sausage roll in the bin, literally a waste of food, man. And that's true. That is a big story that there's vegan sausage rolls at the moment. Kaylon Tanton has put an R. Kelly gif, and Abi K said that vibe Kelly and all his facilitators. And Jay Bruce said Donald Trump is the biggest wasteman of the week after shutting down the US government. They wouldn't fund his steel wall. That's actually a huge story this week as well, which we haven't touched on.
But it's just been washed out with R. Kelly's.
I wanted to give this Wasteman of the Week, and R. Kelly, I'm giving it to R. Kelly for interrupting who I wanted to give it to on top of everything else. I wanted to give Wasteman of the Week to the dude on New Year's that punched the girl in the face.
Yeah.
Like, that was what I wanted to talk about. That guy has, like...
that was just shocking.
That kind of blew up on the internet, and then he got arrested. He went to court, he got bail, he pled not guilty and got bail, and some of the conversations I had with people about that was just, it's the same thing, like, they just jump to assume, she done something, she deserves it. They're lying, all of this. It's the same thing.
And,
so R. Kelly and him.
Yeah, how can he not be found guilty when there was video footage?
Yeah,
like really,
it's just there, like everyone to see.
He was punching her.
And it turned out that he was friends with Sneakbo.
Yeah, I saw. And
Sneakbo put a comment on the thing, and then I replied to it. And I don't like how Sneakbo dealt with it.
No, I don't think that was very nice.
But it's not him that needs to be on blast, but
if it's your people, then you need to
talk to your people. That's what I messaged him to say. He was like, talk to your people. Don't and at least condemn it. It's like, I didn't hear no condemning it in your thing.
Like, condoning his behaviour. Like, all he was bothered about was dragging his name into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, if you still hang around with those people, then
which I don't know. I haven't got to the bottom of who. So anyway, that guy there, I don't know his name. I should really have his name to give him the Wasteman of the Week. Well, before the end of the segment, we'll get his name up. But R. Kelly, it has to be R. Kelly this week. Wasteman for continuously preying on vulnerable, naive young girls. And I'm not even talking about where it's illegal. No. Like, even the ones that are of legal age, this is not just a case of, those girls are too young. There's ones that are old enough or of legal age. They're still too old for you. Yeah. One, what are you attracted to? These girls look like little girls. Two, there's other levels of abuse. like
locking
manipulative abuse of like
manipulation.
controlling when people eat, what they can do,
Not
making them
wanting people to interact with each other.
They're not letting people talk to each other. They have
come out the
to telling them
house.
to call him daddy. Pause. You know what I'm saying, like.
Calling himself a Pied Piper.
Yeah, and violence. Like there's literally like some of the like his wife is older, but she's like giving reports of literally physical violent abuse from this pagan wasteman. Do you know what I'm saying? So anyone and on top of that, wasteman to anyone defending him on the internet in any shape or form. Wasteman.
Defend him, you're a wasteman too.
And I wrote after I finished the thing, I wrote this long post. I didn't use the word wasteman. I used something else, but I'm gonna replace it with wasteman since we're talking about this. But I was giving it to his assistant, aka and also tour manager, wasteman. He even admitted in the tape. I kind of like admit it. It's good you're here admitting it, but.
Yeah,
something got to happen to you too.
Yeah,
like you forged. He's saying he forged the documents for Leah to get married to when she was 15.
Yeah,
wasteman. The security guard who's in the documentary as well.
Yeah,
wasteman.
Yeah. Who would go up to young girls and give them his number and stuff.
Yeah. Send them. Really? Go out when they go out to the mall and McDonald's and that, trying to draw young girls.
They're gonna make them start.
Any of his friends, family, his older brother who was in prison, who literally at one moment in that documentary said, "It's just a preference. I like older women.
God,
he likes younger women.
Not a preference.
Get out of here, wasteman.
You're a waste. Your whole family's waste."
Anyone who worked with him after we knew all of this, I'm saying them as well. Producers, rappers, wasteman.
Yeah.
There's another story that Dame Dash came out kind of saying that's part of why him and Jay-Z kind of stopped messing with each other because Jay-Z made this whole album with him. But then there's also kind of things where Jay-Z, that album where they did together came out in the mix of what was going on, and it kind of may have had something to do with why their relationship broke down, and that album Jay-Z wouldn't go on tour with him and wouldn't promote it, but then they made another album and went on tour and done that later on.
That makes sense.
Or I think that other album might have been outtakes of stuff they'd already recorded, and it was like boom, but still.
Why would you?
That's too sticky. It's too sticky. And Dame Dash obviously was married to Aaliyah at the time.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Nah, I'm not. That's my wife." Like, and he's saying to like Jay-Z, like, "That's your friend." Well, she's like our friend. Yeah. Like, nah. And obviously, there's never been anything with her talking about it, the situation. But that's probably the closest. Like, that's her husband when she died, and he's there saying like, yeah, she couldn't really talk about that. She didn't like talking about him. She was just like, "That's a bad man. I don't want to talk about him," kind of thing. Yeah.
You can see it in her eyes.
Yeah. And I wrote Dave Chappelle while we were at it, which I caught a bit evil. People was like, "What did Dave Chappelle do? Leave Dave Chappelle alone."
What did Dave Chappelle do?
I'm just like, yo, like the sketch that he made, which they put in the documentary at parts or whatever, you know, the famous sketch of "Pee on You" or whatever,
that one.
And I'm like, yeah, I used to bust joke. Like, I'm like, that sketch, I don't really buy the comedic license thing anymore. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, that normalized this whole thing into pop culture, so that's something we laugh about.
It's like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Like, yeah, it normalized what happened, and it is mocking R. Kelly for doing something so weird, but it's not really fair on the victim. I'm not really cool with it.
Because that's something traumatic for them that they've had to endure, and you're making light of it for people's entertainment.
Yeah, and it's
waste.
Waste.
Yeah,
And
waste.
and also, so my other honourable mention to Tariq Nasheed. For all of the posts and everyone with that narrative, because he's been the person I've seen pushing it the most. That is his narrative in a lot of things. Like, he's very anti-white supremacy, as am I. So I support a lot of those kind of when it's relevant, those kind of conversations. But he seems to be using that to kind of disrespect the victims in my eyes. He's been like, he's calling names, basically going at black feminist organizations, but going at the Mute R. Kelly organization and saying that they've got an agenda and they're working for a white corporation in the background who's actually just trying to come at the black man and with an agenda of white supremacy, which I'm not saying never goes on.
No, but all sorts goes on. But how about they just want justice and they want to see him go to prison?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Face consequences.
And that's my thing. And there is a case where, okay, maybe some white celebrities who are in this kind of situation don't get put on blast, but at the moment we're kind of seeing a change just with women's issues as a whole, with the whole Me Too movement. Weinstein is kind of the center of that. He's on trial he's got, I mentioned it earlier in the show, but I guess just to include it in this segment, like he is getting way more media attention than R. Kelly. So my thing, that the reason for that is that his victims are white women. So it's like my thing, the racism here is that it's about black women.
Yeah.
So nobody really cares
women,
about. No one cares. That's
it
why.
It was even said in the documentary.
In the documentary as well.
That's what they
and it's like
about.
the fact he got off that court case before, R. Kelly.
Found not guilty.
Found not
Really?
guilty because I'm saying if that was a young white girl in that video,
He would have been
there's
locked up.
no
He'd been
way
on
on
death row or
earth he
something.
would have been like, the
Yeah.
extreme. So it's like, let's look at where the racism lies. Because when you're saying, oh, this is getting his attention to attack this black man, nah, because the white guy's getting more attention. If you look at it, it is.
Yeah.
It's getting more attention overall. And also we pay more attention to, and I mean like within hip hop communities, and this music culture, black community as well, like are gonna pay attention more to
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly because it's more connected. It's more connected. I don't know who Harvey Weinstein is. I didn't know who he was until this, but I knew who R. Kelly was my whole life. So obviously I'm gonna be emotionally affected by hearing
grown up listening
all
to
of this
and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's
Wasteman of the week.
Wasteman of the week.
R. Kelly, Wasteman.
Wasteman,
Lock him up.
Wasteman, lock him up, yeah, and just stop playing his tunes everywhere, and just just
I can't
stop.
play like. Some people still like saying they're still gonna play his songs.
No.
The point that you made before is that his songs have so much reference to this kind of stuff. So how can I play it without feeling sick?
His songs are pretty much witness statements. That's what
Remember,
his
he made a
songs
song
are.
last year called "I Admit."
Well, there you go.
But
He's telling everybody what he's done.
And I read about it yesterday just to remind myself because I couldn't listen to the song. It's 19 minutes long.
What?
He made a 19-minute song earlier this year saying "I admit." And that's what the song's called, "I Admit." And in the chorus, he's about going, "I admit it, I did it." That's what he says, but he doesn't actually admit to anything in the actual lyrics of the song.
Come
but,
on now. We know what he did.
Before we get into the next song, now that just the instrumental died, but before we get into the end of that and into the next song, R. Kelly.
Wasteman.
Yeah, man.